extended to 18th May, so don't miss your chance to help this win. Visit bestofsouthafrica.co.za/Durban, head under entertainment section, or simply scan the QR code on our socials and vote in seconds. Let's make 2025 a winning year for Radio Al Ansar.
لمع البرق اليماني. I found you when my heart was broke. You filled my cup until it overflowed, but I was too far to keep it close. I was afraid you'd leave me on my own. I asked, please catch me if I fall. Then I told you I would leave it all. And then you've got me on my knees. I pray to you, I'm begging, please don't let him take advantage of me. I know how it feels sitting up there, tears in my eyes, there is no one there to hold me. I'm feeling so lost and feeling so scared. With you by my side, I will never feel lonely. How can I live without you? Live without you. I'm the one who needs you back in my life. I don't know why. I gave up about 100 times. I know these demons can't control my mind, but you have showed me so many signs. Didn't notice cause my heart was blind. I asked, please catch me if I fall. Then I told you I would leave it all. And then you got me on my knees. I pray to you, I'm begging, please don't let him take advantage of me. I know how it feels sitting up there, tears in my eyes, there is no one there to hold me. I'm feeling so lost and feeling so scared. With you by my side, I will never feel lonely. How can I live without you? Live without you. I'm the one who needs you back in my life. I don't know why. You don't have to say, I already know. You don't have to say, I already know. How can I live without you? Live without you. How can I live without you? Live without you. I'm the one who needs you back in my life. I don't know why.
Radio Al Ansar, Durban 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM.
أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور، أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر، فأهل الوفاء كلون السحاب وحسن الربيع والنهار. أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر، كلون السحاب وحسن الربيع وماء المطر. مقامهم فوق رأس الجبال وفوق الروابي وعند القمر. ويا من تحب غياب الوفاء، رأيتك تهوى غياب البصر. وكم قائل
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is only you that we worship and your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us on the straight path. Ya Allah, show us the choice of blessings. Ya Allah, show us the mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salam, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's now 12 minutes past night on this beautiful Friday evening, And I'm excited. I've got in the studio with me Mondli, who's attending to the technicals, and I'm co-hosting with Buddy Govender. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Let's Talk on Radio Ansar with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Co-hosting the program with me this evening is Buddy Govender. Buddy, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lovely to be back again. Good feedback this week, didn't we get, Faizal?
Excellent,
Fabulous.
excellent.
You know, what's the beautiful part about is some of the people said they were actually in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't that actually touch our hearts when we're talking about something as important as it is in our lives, the Casbah?
And the beauty part of it is that there were a lot of messages that came internationally.
Absolutely. People crave still for the old days as such,
absolutely.
you know. Well, it's welcome to the Grey Street Casbah, one of Durban's most iconic shopping destinations. From high-end fashion Faisals to unique local tea rooms, Grey Street was a shopper's paradise.
Absolutely.
So tonight we're going to stroll down the vibrant streets of town and we're going to explore its treasures. The topic tonight, Faisal, cafes, tea rooms, takeaways, corner shops, all of those in the Casbah. And wasn't there so many?
Tons of them, buddy. And of course, buddy, this vibrant district has long been the soul of Durban's Indian community.
Yes.
A place where stories are woven into the fabric of its bustling markets.
Absolutely.
Historic buildings and people who have shaped its legacy. From the towering Juma Masjid Mosque to majestic Emmanuel Cathedral to the iconic tea rooms and shops that have stood the test of time. The Casbah is more than just a place. It's an experience. It's a life that seems to have faded away into memory. This will evolve into a regular Friday evening series, buddy, as we said.
Inshallah.
And this show, and you can also share your memories, experiences, and family stories with us by calling in or sending us a WhatsApp, which we will read out on the show. Right now, buddy, I'm going to give out the WhatsApp numbers: 060-904-1056. That's 060-904-1056. That's WhatsApp. And of course, if you want to call us, surprise us with a phone call and share your thoughts with us. 0861-904-904.
Definitely would love to hear from you. So Faisal's giving you the numbers. Please give us a call if you'd like to. We'd love to hear your story. No matter how simple you think it is, it's important to us. So give us your story. You want to call in or you want to WhatsApp. But Faisal, we're on Facebook as well, Facebook Live.
Facebook.
So if you hook on to the Al Ansar Facebook page, you'll see the show live, Faisal and I there on a screen as well.
And will you be smiling, buddy?
You know, Faisal, when we talk about Grey Street and town, don't we always have a warm smile on our face? I can see it on your face right now.
No, I know. In fact, the first message has already come through. You can read it, buddy.
Yep, well, the first message has come through. It says, Assalamu alaikum. I have a memory to share. I became a Muslim in the heart of the Casbah. By that, I mean I was converted to Islam in a tiny office in Madrasa Arcade, alhamdulillah. Well, the office was the IPCI. Conversion was done by the late Mr. G.H. Vanker. My nikah was also done there. The IPC has since built larger offices in Queen Street, but the little office upstairs in Madrasa Arcade will always have a special place in my heart. And that comes from Sister Mom, and a lovely story indeed. Absolutely. What a treasure it is to actually have gone through that process in the heart of the Casbah, Madrasa Arcade. But that is a lovely story. So please do send us these stories, as Sister Momin has just sent it to us now. That is a really precious one.
I know we said that we're going to be having a special discussions this evening on cafes, tea rooms, etc. But, just looking at this message here, I still remember the little IPCI office in Madrasa Arcade, and tons and tons and tons of dawah work was done from there. In fact, they had that 1400th anniversary of the Holy Quran. They had this massive, function at Curry's Fountain, which all started from Madrasa Arcade. It was amazing.
Was it upstairs?
Upstairs.
That's right.
Yes.
You know the iconic thing about that upstairs, Faisal, when you walk upstairs and you walk along that you're not in South Africa.
No, definitely.
you could be in Medina, you could be in
India.
Mecca, you could be in India, you could also be in 1945. Am I right?
Yes, of course.
I'm not exaggerating. It's just that special, beautiful. I remember those offices quite well, the little bookstore as well that was there. But there was a certain peace and tranquility about the area.
Absolutely.
That prevailed. It was certainly quiet. Everybody was busy, but it was in a peaceful busyness. There was no hustle and bustle that put you out. It was something special. So that's a great memory there, Madrasa Arcade.
And you felt very safe because you virtually knew everybody.
Yes.
You know?
We lost a brother yesterday from Cathedral Road, Mr. Rashid Butler.
Okay.
A man that actually on Grey Street, Casbah, he was a senior gentleman. He knew his stuff.
Yes.
And whenever I would say something, and if he kept quiet, I knew I was on the right track.
On the right track.
And then when he came in, he made sure he corrected me properly to tell me, no, it wasn't that, it was this. And you would never question Mr. Butler because you knew it was coming from a legitimate source, a man that has walked the talk.
Absolutely.
May Allah grant him the highest status in Jannah. Ameen, ameen, ameen.
Another message comes through, says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam to you. I'm not in the senior age group, but my memories of town was the Wimpy. My father always spoke of Victory Lounge, which is where the debonairs in the corner, Grey Street used to be. Yep, Victory Lounge. We're going to be chatting about Victory Lounge as well.
Even the Wimpy downstairs, Good Hope Center.
Yes.
At one time, there were two venues where people from all over South Africa that would come to Durban. If they wanted good halal food, it was either the Wimpy or it was Bai's family place at Blue Lagoon.
Oh, yes.
So it was those two places. There were other places as well. But the Wimpy, very, very popular. Very popular.
Undoubtedly.
And of course, Victory Lounge, what can we say? But we're talking about Casbah tea rooms. Faizal, they were in every corner. I mean, you could walk 50 meters and you would come up to a tea room, a cafe, a takeaway. And I was talking to my wife Farana today and I was saying, how many are left? And we counted, I think, 3 or 2 maybe cafes or tea rooms that are left in town. And I mean, that is actually ridiculous. Comparing to the days where left, right, center, whatever it is, there was something that you could buy, this or that or this.
I was just telling my son that we're discussing tea rooms.
Yeah.
And what's a tea room? What's a tea room?
Hey, doesn't that make us just stagger and think, what's a tea room?
Can somebody tell us why we call it a tea room?
Well, apparently it was a tea room. Back in the day, down Amgeni Road and those places, there were a lot of these tea rooms and people that were working. And it was a thing, Faizal, that tea at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, we come from a British background. So 3 o'clock it was tea or 10 o'clock it was tea, just before lunch or just after lunch, before dinner, there was tea. And that tradition used to be something that people couldn't get out of, which meant that if you weren't at home, where would you have tea? In a tea room. So you would have these establishments that would actually provide you with a cup of tea or that tea experience at 3 o'clock.
But that tea was something else. It wasn't the tea that you're having today. It was some hot water and a tea bag.
Not at all.
There's another message that's come through.
Not at all. Says, Salams, I recall the Khyber restaurant. We're going to be talking about that.
Of course.
While studying in 1981, 82 and 83, the kind aunties in the kitchen used to refill our bunnies because we were students. Alhamdulillah. What can we say? That story resonates with all of us. We always had somebody in that takeaway that will either slip us a little extra this or just be kind to us.
You think of Mr. Subia, the caretaker at
Sastry
College. We're always going there with the bread left over and doing the curries for us.
Yep, indeed. And then Lavangi from Hansas,
Absolutely.
Cheeky Lavangi, but we're always looking out for all of us. There was no doubt.
Absolutely.
That's a lovely Khyber. Certainly we're going to be talking about. But let's get into the thing.
Let's go for it.
It's not just the venue. It's the people that actually owned it that made such an impact in our lives. And it was that particular flavor or item that they would come out. Let's start off with Crystal's Cafe. When you talk Crystal's, what is the first thing? That steak sandwich.
Steak sandwich, special sauces,
And all the sauces, exactly. Crystal were famous for that steak sandwich and the pita bread with the steak. But do you remember when they were across the road from the Avalon Albert in Albert Street?
Yes.
Just behind the Clover Dairies. And for those people that are thinking Clover Dairies, they were in Victoria Street. And so was Adams and Greg, the bookstore, Victoria Street.
Very recently they were.
Yes. But Crystal, the family that was there, do you remember them?
Yes, I do.
The father and the mother.
Yes, I do.
Well, they were really, you would go in there. They didn't say much. very seldom were they as chatty as the other shopkeepers, but you knew you were getting good stuff.
Absolutely.
And then Crystals moved after that down the way in Victoria Street, further down past Adams and Grieg, which they still are today there. But shawarmas and their toasted steak,
Yep.
Crystals brand.
But now, before Crystals was there,
Yes.
there was a burger place.
Burger Ranch.
Burger Ranch. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
In fact, that's what
Yes.
that's where I think most of us were introduced to burgers.
Exactly. We didn't know burgers before that. And Burger Ranch, if you could afford it, Faisal.
Yes, of course.
And,
of course.
we battled a bit.
Yep.
And then we move up Albert Street and, we turn left into Prince Edward Street. We're going to walk past the Raj Cinema.
Yep.
And on the corner, Hansa's was just the place.
Yep.
It was the meeting place for many people after
yes.
movies,
Oh, yes.
after mosque, everything. You would meet after Tarawih. Hansa's was open and you would go down there.
But now, before you get to Hansa's, let's stay on Prince Edward Street.
Yes.
In that area
I
between
like that.
Albert Street and Grey Street.
Yes.
I think there was a Gino's Cafe on the left.
Yes, absolutely.
If you recall.
Yep, there was
And you
Gino.
went slightly forward and you turned into Kisman Arcade. I think
Yes.
you went to a place called Vita Snacks. The
Faisal,
most-
I'm coming to that
Is
there
it?
because you're absolutely spot on. But let's go to Gino's Cafe.
Okay.
Because Gino's Cafe was right across the road from the Raj Cinema.
Yes.
Just across and slightly to the right.
Mhm.
And I remember as a little boy, because my dad knew them, and I remember as a little boy going into Gino's Cafe and basically having free reign of whatever I wanted.
Okay.
And as a little boy, you felt so good to go behind the counter.
Yes.
And then the uncle would say, take what you want, boy, take it. But you're absolutely right. But
But there was an activity that used to take place outside Gino's Cafe. Can you recall?
the black market tickets? No?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got an excellent memory, buddy.
How can we forget the black market tickets?
Yes.
If we can talk quickly on that one. If you remember the Rand Cinema, there's
Yes.
going to be like Enter the Dragon.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a huge crowd outside. The ticket box is going to open at 9:30.
Mhm.
At 9:30,
Yep.
the ticket box used to open. At 1 minute past 9:30,
sold
it
out.
was sold out. The sold out sign will come and you'd like wonder, but he only served 3 people and was sold out.
But you go across
So
the
now you had to and you had these guys walking around and telling you, okay, you want a ticket, it's like 3 times the price.
Yes.
But you wanted the ticket.
Yes.
But
then sometimes you waited till the show started, so you got it 1/3 the price.
down, sort of got cheaper as it went closer to the time.
Yes.
That's a great one.
Mhm.
But Vita Snacks.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know about that tea room that was
Mhm.
inside Kismet
Yes.
Arcade.
Yes.
The sandwiches, the
The-
toasted
yeah,
sandwiches
Class.
was
Absolute
something
class.
else.
Yes.
And what was the price of them, Faisal?
I can't recall that.
15 cents?
Yes, that's correct.
20 cents?
Mhm.
If you really wanted a Lani sandwich,
Yeah.
prepare to be paying 25 cents.
Yeah. But a very tasty sandwiches because I just can't remember the uncle's name. I can picture him right now.
Yep, that's
But
right.
he used to slice that steak very thin.
Vita Snacks. Eh?
Yeah.
A name that I'm sure a lot of people out there have got a smile on their face at the
Yep,
moment thinking, I
absolutely.
remember that place. There's a couple more messages coming through, Faisal.
Yeah. It says
There's one there.
Ideal's Butchery next to Catherine's Radio on Beer Street, twin stores opposite Rose Valley
Yeah,
Butchery.
of
Yeah.
course.
Walking down Grey Street going to Cross Street. Okay.
Yes. Crossing
just
the
see-
Iron Bridge.
Yep. The next one says, you can just read that.
There used to be Talk of the Town in
Yes.
Albert Street. Yeah,
Yes,
we're going
yeah.
to talk
Vision
about that one,
90s.
of course.
And then Salam's great show down memory lane. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's so
yeah, I think we've
important to
covered
us.
most of them.
So we're in Prince Edward Street, Faisal.
Yes, yep.
We at Vita Cafe.
Yeah,
We're coming out of Kismet Arcade.
Mhm.
On the left on Kismet Arcade, the little shop that was Uncle Deva's Chickens Poultry Store.
Yep.
You remember that?
Mhm,
And they would sell actually live chickens in
yes, yes.
there. Some of you, the young people, would say, no ways. Right there, you could go in, you could buy yourself a chicken. They would slaughter it or what have you. And then another thing in Victoria Street, in Prince Edward Street was in Kismet Arcade while we were there. Downstairs used to be Foggy's billiards room
Yes,
down in the basement.
in the basement. And then
Right.
they moved, I think, right to the top.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
They were there. And everybody complimented everybody in terms of you went to play snookers, then you bought your tea and your sandwich from Vita Snacks. So every business was being supported by everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's cross over the road, Faisal.
Okay.
We at Hansa's.
Yeah.
What's
yeah.
your memory of Hansa's?
Well, I have lots of memories because I virtually grew up in Prince Edward Street, and that was like our what word can you use?
Go-to place.
Go-to place. Yeah, that was our go-to place. I say as students, we play ball, go over there, put your hands in your pocket, see what you come up with, make up sufficient to buy some chips and some buttered rolls. And if more cash came out, you cashed in for a sausage or a drumstick. But the good part of it was that, as I said, I think I mentioned this last week, all of us used to get together outside, have a chat, and then we had some of these students, professional students. They're passing for 10 years.
8 years, they need a 4-year course.
Then they give you lectures and they call it the University of Life.
And it was in a way.
And it was fun. It was fun.
Yep.
Many an advocate, surgeon, etc., grew up from there.
One of our brothers, Dr. Farooq Musa.
Yep.
One of the best ophthalmologists in this country, actually grew up there as well.
Yep.
So one of the things about Hansa's Chicken's Nest, as they call it in Prince Edward Street, do you remember the pies?
Yep.
Those mutton pies. I don't know if they used to make their own pies, but oh man, you couldn't get those pies anywhere.
Those for some of the guys, those were luxuries.
Exactly. I was about to tell you that because whilst we all sort of was around these places, it didn't mean that we were buying food. It mean we were just standing there sometimes.
Yes, of course. No, that was like a hangout. That's what we call like a hangout.
A hangout.
Yeah.
So we didn't have money for the food. And for all of you out there that's thinking we're talking about all this, no, didn't mean we actually had those chicken legs. The best we could have afford maybe was to share a packet of chips.
No, but things happened.
Yeah.
We made it happen.
And we shared, eh?
Yes, of course.
We all had a chicken leg. We all had a pie. We all had a samosa. and that was probably because somebody had an extra money, bought something, and we shared it, There's messages through there from Brother Fahim.
Yeah, but I like this one.
Yep.
It's a typing error. Not forgetting the Suleman and Madness Arcade.
Ooh.
It was basically next to Madrasa Arcade.
Madrasa Arcade, exactly.
Just next to them,
Yep. So Hansa's was the place to be at one time. After the movies, we used to hang about.
It was very late.
Yeah, very late.
Very late at night.
Right past midnight.
Yes.
So you always know. Today, you'd go to a place at 10 o'clock on a Friday night and it's closed.
Yeah.
I went there last week, I think, after the show, and it was closed.
And the thing is that, when Hansa's closed, then everybody knew it's time to go home now.
Absolutely.
You
knew that it was time to go home.
Many times we played football
true.
Late at night. Yeah.
So true.
Okay.
Let's walk down down Grey Street from Prince Edward Street corner towards Victoria Street.
Okay.
So you're walking down Grey Street.
Now let's get this straight. Are you walking on the left or
on the left? All the clothing shops. Okay.
And
you had Vanker's electrical shop one off the corner where Cheeky is now. They were just next door. But we walking further down. Patel's.
Oh, yes.
Now, Patel's, iconic. It is one of the historic takeaways in town. Yeah. They actually say that the bunny chow was actually from, and it's could be right, could be wrong, was from Patel at one time.
Yes.
Where people were in a hurry, so they just threw the curry in a piece of bread, and off you went. You had the bunny chow. But Patel's with their potato bhajiyas, they 7 nuts. Everybody would stop off at one time in Patel's.
Now another message is Assalamu alaikum, trust you are all well, alhamdulillah. My husband and I used to love going to Hansa's for the special sausages after the movie. That's very true. Yeah. There was a short gentleman who used to serve us, and still remember his smile. Jazakallah for taking us down memory lane.
Oh yes, that's exactly what we're saying. After the movies, stop off grabbing something to eat.
Yep.
And that's such a good memory there. The best burger in town was Gobble and Go
on Pine Street.
And of course Kit Kat Cafe around from the market by Warwick Avenue. Yes, that's there as well. But now we're walking past Patel's. We've had some potato bhaja. How's the potato bhaja, Faizal?
Very nice and oily too, but good stuff, yes.
And then we come right on the corner, and Danji's fruiters are there.
Oh, wow.
The smell of that popcorn.
Yes, of course.
But you know what strikes me about Danji's fruiters is outside used to be that rocket with the bubble gum inside. And you put your coin in, you turn it, and one of those big bubble gums used to fall. I don't know why that stands out for me. But Danji's was in there, and again, another tea room that stood the test of time and sadly closed many years ago, but everybody that was in town would remember Danji's.
Yep.
When you come in around the corner, You cross over into Shiraz Arcade. You walk down Shiraz Arcade. Would you believe the burger was 60 cents?
Yep.
And if you wanted the special burger at Tasty Eats, and that's what we're talking about
Yes,
now,
of course.
which meant that special burger had like a mash
in
and
it,
a
yes.
sauce.
Yes.
That was 70 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that outrageous when you think of the prices today of a burger?
Of course. And that time it was expensive.
Oh, it was expensive. Well,
I mean, special treat to get it.
It was a special treat to get that special burger. If you could even afford the burger.
Yep, of course.
At 50 cents. But Tasty Eats was good. It had a vibe. You walked past that arcade. There were people in there. They were serving you. There was good food. Do you remember Tasty Eats? Any memories from your side?
No, plenty. In fact, they had a little place there where you could sit and eat as well. And then they moved across and went upstairs. I think they called it the Golden Peacock.
That's what we're going to talk. Then they started catering for the discerning, so to speak, diners who wanted to sit down and have a meal with a menu brought to you.
Yes.
And obviously, you're going to pay a little bit more. Golden Peacock opened upstairs. And when we went upstairs, we were greeted with an amazing view. It was like, wow, what was this? And this was the early days of actually Indian restaurants sit down in town.
Yep.
So, Tasty Eats, Golden Peacock, absolutely something else. So we're going to come out into Queen Street. We're turning right, pass towards the mosque now in Queen Street, past the bank, Barclays Bank.
Oh, yes.
We go around the corner where the Ideal Shoes was, and we're going to go further up, and we came to the most trendiest clothing shop, Mr. Carnaby.
Of course. And you're going down again.
You're going down there, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But they came out with this whole London beat.
Yes.
You know, do you remember one Eid? It was the fashion to wear aubergine pants.
Yes, of course. I remember the aubergine pants. That I will never forget.
We all had this aubergine pants on for Eid, and it was like the thing.
In fact, this is very coincidental. My niece sent a photograph of me in that aubergine pants.
Oh, I'm gonna see that photo.
By chance.
You gotta send me that photo. You gotta send me that photo. So this was where you went to, was the Mr. Carnaby. It just had a nice name, a ring to it. It felt like you were buying clothes from England.
Yes.
But upstairs, Mr. Carnaby, Khyber.
Yeah.
The Khyber restaurant. Another restaurant like Golden Peacock, where you could go in, sit down, be served, given a menu. It had a lovely feel. And I think a lot of guys that were obviously dating their future wives would obviously be, wanting to go to impress them.
Yes.
Take them to Golden Peacock or the Khyber instead of standing at and having a burger. So the Khyber was there.
Absolutely. And what was your most favorite menu at the Khyber?
I didn't really go to the Khyber that many times. I don't think I was in that bracket. I did go there once, but there was a steak, egg, and chips.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
steak,
am I right?
And the steak and roti.
That's right. They were famous for that, and it was really good. And what was that? That was like a whopping £2.50.
I can't remember the price.
£2.50. Another little restaurant that people talk about till today in Pine Street, Gobble and Go.
Oh, yes.
People will still talk about their shawarmas. There you got Brother Fahim saying the best burger, according to him, in town was Gobble and Go in Pine Street. And Gobble and Go was slightly out of the Casbah as such, in that, that area was more, across the road was white. Across the road from Gobble and Go, do you remember it was Red Ride Sports?
Red Ride Sports, yes.
Yeah, that whole area was white, more or less. But Gobble and Go, people still talk about it today. Their shawarmas, their burgers. That was another venue there. So that's in and around there. There was Captain's.
Yes.
Corner of Grey and Victoria. And we're talking about some vegetarian restaurants now. Captain's. Patel's was vegetarian as well.
We had Bhagat's across the road.
Bhagat's.
The famous Victory Lounge.
Well, Victory Lounge. Let's talk about Victory Lounge.
Their custard cakes were very famous.
All their cakes. That was the thing. Our dads would come with these packets of cake, and the packet would have like oily things on it.
Yes.
And I remember you had the queen cake, and you dipped that in the tea.
Yes.
It was something else. And the Mudley family, Billy Mudley is here at the moment. I'll tell you a small story, Faizal.
Okay, let's go for it.
I was the last person ever to be served at Victory Lounge.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Victory was closing, and Billy Moodley and his late wife called me, and they asked me to come over that afternoon. And I really like them. They're such a beautiful couple, family as well. So I went over that afternoon with my camera, and I documented the closing.
Okay.
And he said to me, I want you to have the last serve-in at Victory Lounge. And he remember the little sweetmeat box?
Yes. Yes.
All the people in South Africa would come to town and make sure they go to Victory and take home a sweetmeat box.
Yeah.
He packed a sweetmeat box for me.
Okay.
And I recorded all that. And, sad when they closed the doors.
It must have been.
They did try to open up in Overport.
Yeah, but they
didn't really continue. They have now opened up, or one of the grandsons, nephews, has opened up in Umhlanga, and it seems to be going okay. In fact, he's down. I'm going to go and see him soon. So Victory Lounge downstairs was one thing, Faizal. Upstairs, have you ever been upstairs?
Yes.
Where they would serve you the curry and the bunny. And their curry had that red color to it.
Yes, absolutely.
I can see your mouth is watering. It had it, and their naan. They would make the naan right there.
Yes.
And have it all airing out, and you'd have the whole smell of naan. Victory Lounge is an institution in the Grey Street Casbah. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. And as you said, the fathers would visit there before coming home.
Yep.
Because they made sure they brought something from there,
7 nuts.
Yes, 7 nuts.
Jalebi.
Yes.
That was a standard thing every Friday evenings. Dads would stop off there, and they would be. Do you remember, Faizal, Grey Street at 7 o'clock in the night on a Friday?
Buzzing.
It was like 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Am I right?
Yes, and many people also got paid at that time.
Yep, exactly.
So it was really buzzing.
All the shops were open, all the tea rooms were open. People were all over the show, safe, vibrant.
Yep.
That was the flavor of the Casbah, wasn't it?
It was, undoubtedly. We used to actually look forward to it.
No doubt. I would look forward to my dad coming home with that packet from Victory Lounge, either on a Friday or on a Saturday night.
Yep.
So we had got all those cakes for Sunday morning when we get up.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to find, I had one of these old Khyber menus that was sent to me.
Oh, yes. That's
and
right.
I can't seem to locate it, unfortunately. But
what's the number again, Faiz? You want to read that out to us?
Oh, yes.
We want to hear from you.
060-904-1056. 060-904-1056. That's for your WhatsApp. And let us hear your voice. I'm sure you're tired of Buddy and myself. 0861-904-904. Do call us. 0861-904-904.
Absolutely. Well, let's cross over from Mr. Carnaby, and you faced with Bagats.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Bagats did serve a certain portion of the community that went there. We all have our reservations
of course.
as to what was there. We all knew, many of us didn't really go into Bagats, but they did serve a certain.
It was there, and they did.
That's
serve.
right. They did serve. So big up to them.
Yeah.
But I want to walk towards the corner now of
Which corner?
Queen Street and Grey Street, towards where Ideals is at the moment. Okay, where the IPCI is upstairs.
Yes.
That time there wasn't that building, Sayani Arcade.
No,
it wasn't.
Sayani Center was not
That's
there.
right. So you turned into Queen Street and you walked maybe 30 meters, and there was a store there, a tea room. Do you remember that tea room?
Are you talking about Rajput's?
Rajput's, absolutely.
Yep.
Rajput.
We can never forget that.
It was a big front, open.
Yes, a big open front. Very popular in Ramadan. After Tarawih, everyone's there for the ice cream.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And they had these orange juices, because in the back was a whole wall full of fridges.
Yes.
And you could take out your juices. So that was another shop that really wasn't like a tea room, but it was more a sit down. There was a lot of tables and chairs. All I can remember, lots of tables and chairs.
Yep.
And you could sit down and really, enjoy that.
In fact, that had become part of the rituals in Ramadan. After
Across the road.
After your prayers, etc., you got to go there.
Yep, indeed.
You got to go there. What you do is you wait outside the mosque for your big brother, your other bro, and then he knows where you're waiting for him.
And he got the bucks as well.
That's why you wait for him.
You wouldn't leave there. So let's cross over towards the mosque.
Yep.
We're at the mosque. We walk down towards the cathedral.
Yep.
We take on the corner, there's the butcher shop.
Yes.
Okay. You walk into Cathedral Road. You go past the school.
Yep. And
you turn into this lane and you are in Istanbul 1922. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Who's been there? We'd love to hear from some of you to tell us that you went there. I mean, Manjaras.
The popular.
What was it? I don't know about you, but when I went there, if you asked me the date,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what year we were in.
Yep.
And it was just an amazing atmosphere.
Yep.
But what was famous from Manjaras?
I think it was the biryani, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was biryani. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Bombay Crush
Bombay Crush was there
as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And then they also would sell stuff like potato bajjas bhaja
They
and
had
stuff like that.
Yeah, but the meals like the dal and rice, biryani,
Oh,
etc.
yes.
That was that was.
Do you ever recall what the prices were? I don't know, but I'm sure.
I always had my brother or father pay for it.
you know, it's amazing you say that. I don't think we paid for stuff, because we always had like somebody paying for us.
Yeah. Because
Hence, we don't really know.
We were not even students; we were scholars. We were scholars at the time. So we went with somebody. Message comes from an I Subrati, says, really enjoying the trip down memory lane. Great program, Faizal and Buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think Fahim has also made a comment. Yeah.
Fahim's made some comments. Yep, he's given us a whole list from Ideals Butchery downwards. You can go there.
Yeah, he says from Ideals Butchery next to Catherine's Radio in Peter Street.
Yeah.
Twin stores opposite Rose Valley Butchery. Rose Valley Butchery. Do you remember when we used to walk past school?
Yes,
from school?
Yes.
You walk past, there was the owner with the big mouth. He had this big voice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Brother Fahim is probably laughing and shaking his head now. You couldn't walk past Rose Valley Butchery without hearing that man in there. We walked into Grey Street, the Raj, Avalon, Albert, Shiraz, Hansa's made the burger in a jiffy.
Yeah.
Solly Mandra's we spoke about that. He says Gosai Supermarket in Victoria Street. Yep, indeed. Rupanan's.
Oh, yes.
They would give you all the agrubatis and all that stuff.
Yes.
Ilanga's, Jadwit's Ideals, of course, iconic on that corner. On the corner of Queen Street and Grey Street, Ideals downstairs from the mosque.
Yep.
Do you know that's been there from 1922, 1920? It's an amazing legacy that has on that corner there.
Somebody sent us a message saying that they enjoy the kebab and roti at Manjaras.
Of course.
But no, that's
forgot about that.
That's not. It wasn't served like it wrapped in a lovely, stuff like that. That was you were given a bowl of kebab curry and a couple of rotis to go with it.
Exactly. It was the bowl, and you would eat it like that, not wrapped up as you would have it today.
You'd eat it and you enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah.
GC captains.
Yep.
Now, GC captains, we got to be very careful, Sister Rashida. There was captains.
Yeah, that was captains.
On the corner of Victoria Street and Grey Street. And there was GC captains across the road from the mosque in Grey Street, which was next door to Icy Shake, the sport shop. So those two were captains, yes. They both served very much the same thing.
GC Captain was famous for the broad beans and bread.
Oh.
But you got to, there was a style of eating it. I mean, it's presented to you in a bowl.
Tell us, show us.
I was like, I was thrilled. It's presented to you a bowl. And of course, it's got all the slices of bread on the side, and you're supposed to eat it with a spoon and then take a bite on your bread.
That's right.
And people used to go there, and I recall it was cheap.
But tasty.
Very tasty.
And you came out of there and you actually felt okay.
Yeah, you felt good.
Because, they catered for food from home. That was the most important thing.
Yes.
Brother Subratri, I think it is, if it's a brother, says, Sister Rashida says also the famous for the puri pata.
Yeah.
They were.
Yes.
That was captains.
GC captains.
You went there.
Yeah.
Brother Subratri said...
You'll speak about Hansas.
Yes.
And Sheikhs in Bula Arcade.
Bula Arcade.
Sheikhs in Bula's Arcade, yes, of course. They came in a bit later.
That's
much
right.
later.
Yeah. They were like Bilal's in Prince Edward Street. Came in a bit later. But
very famous.
Exactly. Well, now that we across the road, we went to Captain's, let's move further up, right down Grey Street towards the racecourse. We had Mullah's Cafe on the corner.
Yep.
We spoke about it last week.
Yes.
Mullah's Cafe, they changed their name to Hard Rock Cafe, and I think they had to change again. But Mullah's Cafe, famous for Bombay Crush.
Yep.
And what else? The biryani was good on a Friday. So, that was very, very nice. There was a few places just outside of the Casbah of Faizal that we must talk about. And one is Cloverleaf at the old Indian beach.
Yes.
Now, Cloverleaf served their bunnies and their kebab bunnies. I remember I went there once with a friend. We had a kebab bunny. We shared it on the bonnet of the car.
Yes, you had to eat it on the bonnet of the car. That's where it tasted best.
But I didn't sleep that entire night. It was the hottest kebabs I've ever tasted in my life. Well, we had Cloverleaf at the Old Indian Beach. Curry's Fountain also had Park and Eat. All of us that used to go to Curry's for the football didn't know that during the course of the week, that takeaway was also open for people to come there, park, buy something, and eat it there as well.
Okay.
But Goodwill Lounge in Victoria Street, Faizal. There was a brother, Pumpy and Nami Naidu, and they were iconic Casbah, socialites. They were those people that you wouldn't be surprised to see them in New York or something at one of those big restaurants. They were larger than life characters. They were well known. They were well respected. And if you know that part of the world, Goodwill Lounge, there were 2 times of Goodwill Lounge, 2 eras. So if you know it from the latter area, it wasn't really nice.
You don't want to discuss it.
It was seedy. Exactly. It was seedy. It didn't really good. But if you know it before, I'm talking about the 60s, that was the place to be seen.
Absolutely.
People would be coming there with their cars. People would walk out with 3-piece suits on, hats. The ladies would be dressed in the most immaculate gowns. The food was good. The quality of the services were good. Goodwill Lounge was the iconic Casbah restaurant that all families went to.
The original, yes.
Indeed. Simon's Cafe. You mentioned that a bit early on in Victoria Street. Simon's Cafe was there. I don't know if you remember that one. But Simon's Cafe was similar to Pravina's. Not Pravina's. Pravina's. In that it had a whole lot of tables and chairs.
Okay.
So you could buy whatever you want and sit down, eat it, and then off you go. So Simon's Cafe was another very, very important cafe. But I'm leaving 2 cafes for last.
I'm noticed. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that.
We're going to leave that for just now.
Okay.
But before we go there, one of the tea rooms or takeaways that started off at latter times when the Casbah was still the Casbah, but before it went down, was Bilal's in Prince Edward Street.
Oh, yes.
And their food was tops.
Very good food.
Shawarmas, burgers.
Across the board, yeah.
That's right. They really were good. And I think they were one of the last people to actually close down as such. I think there's a message. It's come in from Brother Ims. He says, lovely program. Enjoying the journey down memory lane. Jazakallah khair for that one. Thank you very much.
Okay. This one from Brother Yusuf. Okay. Do you remember the story going around about an overseas owned restaurant in town? That after the restaurant opened, there was a shortage of cattle in town. Laugh out loud.
You know what? I'm not going to even go there. I've heard that story. I've heard that story, my brother. But you know what? We can take that off here. Faizal, it's 50 minutes up to 10 o'clock. We're going to take a short break for a quick advert. When we come back, we're going to focus on 2 iconic venues in town, one of which is still there. But we'll chat about that. Absolutely. We'll be back in a bit.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
Build better with Basa's Builders Warehouse. Why settle for less when you can have top quality building materials at unbeatable prices? Whether it's bricks, blocks, cement, sand, or electrical, plumbing, and paint supplies, we got everything you need for a flawless finish. Superior quality, competitive prices, and everything under one roof. Find us at 182 Harry Gwala Road, Cato Manor, or call 081-095-4985 for exclusive deals. Don't build without Basa's, where quality meets affordability.
Krugerrands are a timeless investment. Every day, thousands trust Isa Bullion to buy, store, and sell them effortlessly. With 16 years of global expertise, we make gold trading simple. Trade 24/5 from anywhere on our user-friendly platform, a first for South Africa. Each Krugerrand is fully insured and stored in high-security vaults. Enjoy competitive pricing and guaranteed buyback. Isa Bullion, built on trust, driven by expertise, focused on your future. Visit isabullion.co.za today.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 8877 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
You know what really gets under my skin? When my cake or icing just doesn't come out right. It's such a bummer. But I found this incredible margarine called Wooden Spoon, and it's been a total lifesaver for my baking adventures. It makes my icing turn out just perfect every time. When I whip up something with Wooden Spoon, I feel like a master baker. Seriously, my cakes have never looked better. The secret? Wooden Spoon margarine. It's like the magic ingredient for nailing those perfect bakes. And guess what? It's even endorsed by the South African Bakers Guild Association. Just another quality product from the Willowton Group.
Join me, Fatima Kareem, and the Radio Al Ansar team at the King Farm Agri Fair. It's a day packed with delicious food, exciting entertainment, vibrant stalls, and non-stop fun for the whole family. Don't miss the chance to view top-quality livestock, free entry, unforgettable memories, and a chance to meet the Radio Al Ansar team. What more could you ask for? Save the date, May 18, 10 Georgedale Road, Caterite, the King Farm Agri Fair. See you there.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Radio Al Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM. Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
इश्क नबी इश्क नबी नबी 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 इश्क के रंग में रंग जाओ मेरे यार इश्क के रंग में रंग जाओ मेरे यार बोलो ना बोलो ना. It's 53 minutes after 9 o'clock. You with Faizal, MJ Suleman, and me, Buddy Govender. We are talking Casbah as we normally do on a Friday evening. So inshallah, do tell your friends, your family, everybody that sort of has some connection to the Casbah, wherever they are in the world, to listen in. We can live stream. We're live on Facebook, and I'm sure they will really appreciate some of the stuff that we are talking about. Faisal, some of the comments that are coming out on the page is just incredible. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are not really commenting, that probably have tears in their eyes,
Absolutely.
A big smile on their face. I've got a message from brother Arshad Khan on my phone. He's from Carlisle Street. He says, Victory Lounge. He says, Sunday morning, you had to get the Sunday Times and the Baja mix for Sunday visitors because they all came to town on the weekend. So, yeah, indeed. He says his late dad used to send him for that. Indeed, I know that as well. A few more messages there, Faisal?
Yeah, from Mr. Imran Sublati. You guys make me hungry for a lekker chow, man. Let kebab and roti. Yeah.
Who knows, Faisal? Maybe we'll have a program here one Friday and get some vendors downstairs and actually get them to make all these things, and we'll have a Casbah evening.
It'll be great.
You know, I think we'll do that one day.
It'll be great, inshallah. And then the madrasa akid we were talking about, I think we were talking about Wanjras, the big best naan katai.
We forgot that one. Thank you very much for reminding us about that one. Brother Fahim, he says, Queen Shoe Stores, of course, Taj Company, Kui in a glass bottle. Yep. Sunkissed.
Special.
Sunkissed Beach Cafe, Simplex Radio. We're going to be talking about all those, but today we're focusing on the cafes.
Cafes, restaurants.
Faisal, we come in more or less to the end of the show.
Tea rooms, yes.
Two iconic venues in town, one of which is still there today. Okay. But let's go to the one on the corner of Victoria Street and Albert Street, Avalon Tea Room.
Oh, very famous.
What can we say? Mr. Sony.
I'm just thinking of opening all those.
Hey, you know, Mr. Sony and Ghulam. And there you go. Some of you are now going to smile and shake your head. You remember those two. Yes. Uncle Ghulam said nothing. I don't ever remember him talking. I remember him grunting. If you asked him something, it was like, there was something. And he would just go and get what you want and open the bottle caps.
they were the fastest bottle cap openers I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Because they would wait for the people to come out the movies.
And
they've got 10 minutes to serve as many Cokes and pies as possible. And they would just go, and just watching that was a show in itself.
Absolutely.
But Avalon Tea Room was also famous for all those books and magazines hanging in the window.
That's where my interest in English football started.
There you go. Shoot magazine.
You're there on a Tuesday night waiting for that Scorcher and Score magazine to come through.
Waiting for it. And what about Roy of the Rovers?
Yep.
Hey, we all... But Avalon Tea Room... Hot Shot Hamish. Avalon Tea Room was just something else. The books in the window...
Yeah.
They were the only tea room also, if you remember, would get the Cape Herald.
Yes, and they also got the Rand Daily Mail at
the
the
Rand
time.
Daily Mail,
Yep.
which you never get at any other tea room.
You get it.
So if you wanted it...
And it came in on a Tuesday night.
And it did on time.
Yeah, on time.
You knew.
You knew exactly when it's coming,
you'd
you go and fetch it.
You'd have people waiting there for you to get there. But Mr. Sony, ever elegant, the gentleman that he was, you know, there's a beautiful photograph that will be posted on our Grey Street Casbah Facebook page. And if you want to know more about Grey Street, get onto the Grey Street Casbah and Surrounds Facebook page. My partner Ishan Blunden and I, we put out stuff. It's for free, and you would really love the stuff there. But Mr. Sony, and you obviously, when I said Avalon, the first person you thought of was Uncle Ghulam.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I said in the beginning of the show. It's the people that make the venue, not the venue, the people. One more venue. You remember that one? You tell us. Prince Edward Street.
Prince Edward Street?
Cross Street.
Oh, D Nana.
D Nana's.
Oh, yes. And in fact, somebody sent me a photograph of that corner from your Facebook page.
Yes, that's right. I go there all the time and I speak to the grandson is now there. I speak to them and I go into the shop because I've got fond memories as a little boy there as well. And, you know, D Nana's is still trudging along.
Is it the same old tradition?
It absolutely is. Faizal, if you go in there, it still has some of the same shop fittings.
Is it?
The counter that he stands on as you walk in is exactly the same that's been there for 60 years. His grandfather's was serving at that time. He wasn't even born. The shop, and the behind was always like where all the things were set and he would have some family photos. Iconic. I would really encourage you one day to stop off there.
I think a trip there is overdue.
Absolutely.
Because,
it's D Nana's on the corner of Cross Street.
And do they still stock the same thing that you should stock at that time? Because I know in the front there was the tea room, and in the back they had a bit of a grocery store.
Yes. Look, I think times have changed. They stock what's required these days. I don't think they as popularly the go-to shop anymore. You know, people would go to the spa and go to here, sadly. And if you're out of it, then you would run to them. So they still provide some nice fresh bread and stuff like that.
Brother Faizal can also know about the watch repair shop in the interest of Gracie, but I'm sure we'll cover that in future programs.
Exactly.
There's another message.
It says, Salams, I'm born and brought up in Pietermaritzburg, but once or twice a month, my whole family used to come down to Durban for a day at the beach. Our first stop was downtown for the delicious roast chicken legs at Victory. Yes, very good memories, alhamdulillah. Pietermaritzburg knows a little about the Casbah. Also, Brother Buddy G, fantastic program from the Arsenal man.
With the
That's my brother Faiz. Every Saturday and Sunday, he's on to me to just remind me that Arsenal is also a good team. Excellent. Thank you very much. Brother Fahim, he says Dominion clothing stores. We're going to be talking about that.
Yeah, I say Rashida talks of Wimpy. We've discussed Wimpy
already. Yes, indeed. Wimpy, we've discussed that.
I think most of the message that come through we have acknowledged.
So, you know, one of the other things you mentioned before the show was Pravina's.
Oh, yes.
In Victoria Arcade.
Yes. Victoria Heights downstairs.
Yes, that's right. Masala chips and sauce.
Masala chips. And of course, the vinegar was very important because they introduced vinegar to it.
It gave it a kick.
Yes.
Certainly did, you know. And don't you sometimes when you eat some food, it just takes you right back to a certain place and time.
It does.
The vinegar on chips will take you right back to Pravina's.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, I think we've covered more or less all.
There's so many that we haven't covered.
Hawk's Nest in Queen Street, that was opposite the Wimpy. A lovely family used to run that one, a lovely tea room. Twin stores on the corner of Grey and Beater Street. Still there as well.
Is it?
Yeah, you know. And then Rani's Cafe, we always walk past that in Carlisle Street.
Yes.
just before the school supply store. And I haven't eaten from there, but it's well known that their tin fish sandwiches was out of this world.
Okay.
So we've covered that a bit. I hope that we've brought some good memories to people out there. Mullah's Cafe, still Halim during Ramadan, they still serve that. Their milk naan is some of the best that you can get around. I think we've covered more or less all the shops. The sad thing, Faizal, before we end off, is that what are we left with? If your mom said to you, go downstairs, or your dad said to you, go downstairs and get the paper, you had a couple of options.
Yes, absolutely.
If they were sold out with the Daily News here, you would run to that corner. If they were there was another corner.
Yeah, they had
today
AV's Cafe in Queensland.
AV Mohammed's Cafe. Today. AV Mohammed's Cafe, I'm glad you brought that up. That was prior to us having all the Checkers and the spas. So they would sell all the tin fish.
AV supermarket next to it.
Exactly. And you would go there and you would buy that as well. So, they serve that.
And they had those soccer machines, Yes. And the pinball machines as well.
Of course. But I think we've covered it all, more or less. The sad part, as I say, Faizal, there's nothing left. We have the memories.
Absolutely.
We've got to make sure that we try and tell our children. Our children are clueless about the lifestyle that we've had. Young, we talk to some of our kids, like you say, tea room. We take it for granted. They'll ask you, what is a tea room?
Yes.
Exactly, cassette. Have you ever asked them what's a cassette? They don't know what's a cassette.
Cassette. I think of that pencil that, you're not talking of cassettes. When we started this radio station, we first started with cassettes. And I recall having marked, just forward it to 53 seconds, and then you play that into 64 and you stop and you go to the next, and that type of thing, Yeah.
We were mixed masters in the old style.
Yes.
But Faizal, I think, we brought back some good memories.
Undoubtedly.
And the Jazakallah for your contribution here as well.
Undoubtedly. It was,
I hope all of you have enjoyed it, and join us again.
Inshallah, next week we'll continue with the show, and but you can decide in the course of the week which aspect you want to discuss.
We will. We'll let you know.
I think our listeners too should send us some feedback during the course of the week of what they would like to discuss. Send us some voice notes if possible too. During the course of the week, make it for the attention of Faizal or Buddy, and I'm sure it'll reach us, and we can play some voice notes during the show too.
Absolutely, we love that,
because when you hear the voice and the aching, etc., for the old times, and it makes a huge difference.
There's one voice note that's actually here, Scully. He's one of the regular listeners as well. Are we able to get that on Munli? Let's listen. I would love to hear from Scully. He's always sending us some positive.
There's two voice notes that he sent. Okay. Let's see what
Scully has to say.
Hello. Salam to the Al-Ansar team. It's Scully, Scully. Man, I just missed Max Khan's number, man. Please.
Okay.
I'm not too much in the digital thing. If you could just have his number, man, please. You could WhatsApp it to me or anything. Thank you, man. Please, please.
Well, I hope he's enjoyed the show.
Hi. Salam to Anwar Bhai and to Mohammed Bhai.
I think
it's Scully. Man, lots and lots of memories of that Casbah. And thank you for talking about the D Nana's shop. I joined in a bit late, man, because D Nana's, the grandson who's in the shop now, his name is Ainan. He's my best friend. He's my best friend. And lots of memories, man. What about Yanks? He has to have the underground scene in Victoria Street. Shah Jahan, showplace of the nation.
Absolutely, such good memories there. And Scully is one of those men listeners that actually always calls in with some good memories, manjaras and stuff like that there. But yes, Faizal, next week we'll talk about something interesting. I got something on my brain. We certainly will look at that.
There's a little thing that comes from manjaras, but I think it's too faint to read. You can't.
The advert. I'll send you the original one.
Oh, you've got the original.
Original. And if you want to see more of that as well, please do get onto Grey Street Casbah and Surround's Facebook page. Join up. up, will approve it, and there's millions of people from around the world that are part of it, and it's an incredible journey back into time again, Faizal.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you for joining me. And it was wonderful. I say we'll be back next week, inshallah ta'ala. And to all our friends out there, remember that if you have any info on the Casbah area, you want to discuss anything, send them to us. Send us voice notes, during the course of the week so we can vet them and play them. And let's take it from there. Thank you for joining us. The next program you'll be listening to at about 10:30. You'll be listening to some nasheeds. Till then is Ikra Wafam with Brother A.K. Muhammad, and he'll be continuing with the discussion of the tafsir of the Holy Quran. Buddy, thank you for joining me once again. And I think time for us to bid farewell, buddy.
I mean, of course.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'm back tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on Rise and Shine. Buddy's back tomorrow at 4 o'clock, is it?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock,
Kick
sorry.
off.
At 3 o'clock kickoff. And buddy, now that Liverpool's won the league, what are you discussing?
FA Cup tomorrow.
Oh, FA Cup.
Yes.
Okay.
Chelsea,
okay.
Crystal Palace and Manchester City.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any idea what's happening with Chelsea and Man United?
I'm waiting to go home and see what the score is there.
Okay.
We'll let
All
you
right.
know.
From ourselves, Buddy Govender and Faizal Suleman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks, buddy.
La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah.